Seth Rollins escaped Clash in Paris, still the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but the way he pulled it off is already one of the most talked about finishes of the year. The Visionary entered the main event four-way against CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight without his usual backup. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed had been ejected from the arena earlier in the night, while Paul Heyman was taken out after Roman Reigns choked him unconscious with a guillotine. That left Rollins isolated, but he wasted no time playing his trademark opportunist role. As the opening bell rang, he slipped out of the ring, letting his opponents tear into each other before dragging Punk to the outside and driving him into the barricade. The closing stretch was chaotic. Knight nearly ended it with an elbow drop through the announcer's desk, only for Rollins to roll away and watch Knight crash through the table himself. Back in the ring, Rollins turned an Uso spear into a sudden pedigree, but Punk capitalized with a GTS on Uso. Before the pinfall could be made, Rollins stormed back in with a curb stomp, then gave in to his darker instincts. He grabbed a steel chair, stomped Uso and Knight again, and set up Punk for a final stomp onto the weapon. Punk reversed it at the last second, trapping Rollins' leg in the chair and hoisting him up for the GTS until a masked figure slid into the ring and delivered a low blow. That interference allowed Rollins to recover, crush Punk with another stomp, and steal the win. When the mask came off, the arena erupted. It was Becky Lynch, Rollins' wife, and the reigning Women's Intercontinental Champion. Lynch's involvement didn't feel out of place. She celebrated in the ring with Rollins, sealing the victory with a kiss as Clash in Paris went off the air. Questions immediately surfaced about whether this was a one-night assist or if Lynch had officially joined the Vision. Hours later, Lynch provided the answer herself. She posted a backstage photo with Rollins, writing that the two of them run this business. Fans are now openly wondering if this is WWE's way of setting the stage for AJ Lee's long-rumored return. The speculation gained serious weight during the post-show when former WWE champion and close Punk ally Big E made an intriguing statement. CM Punk, he's got a wife too, and I've known her to kick some as well, Big E said. That remark has fueled the belief that AJ Lee could soon re-enter the WWE spotlight. The potential is obvious. Mixed tag team matches pitting Rollins and Lynch against Punk and AJ practically write themselves, and a possible AJ versus Becky showdown for the Women's Intercontinental Championship is the kind of dream match fans have wanted for years. Even Punk leaned into the tease, pointing toward a sign in the crowd that read, "Bring back AJ Lee." The timing couldn't be better, as rumors are already swirling that WWE may book CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch for the upcoming WrestlePalooza event, the very same night AEW runs All Out. If WWE pulls the trigger, AJ's comeback would not only be massive in its own right, but it could also give WWE a decisive edge over their rival promotion. It's also worth remembering that this isn't the first time Rollins and Lynch have been paired on screen. Back in 2019, they worked together as babyfaces in a mixed tag match at Extreme Rules against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Now, with both operating as heels on the same brand, the dynamic feels fresh, dangerous, and far more compelling. As for the match itself, the main event delivered everything expected from the lineup. Uso and Rollins carried much of the action. Knight once again showed why he's one of the most consistent performers in WWE, and Punk was used sparingly but in all the right moments. It was wild, unpredictable, and perfectly balanced for the stakes involved. Clash in Paris may be remembered less for the winner and more for the reveal that followed. With Becky Lynch officially aligned with Rollins, CM Punk staring down the possibility of AJ Lee's return, and WrestlePalooza looming, WWE just set the stage for one of the most personal and explosive feuds in years. The question now is simple: if AJ does come back, are we about to witness the biggest power couple war in WWE history? Once off the air, Punk appeared physically and emotionally drained as he collapsed near the ring. Rising again, he vented his frustration by stomping on a damaged table, then interacted briefly with fans before heading backstage. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. WWE's first premium live event in Paris opened with a blockbuster singles clash between Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, setting the tone for a wild night. Reed, the powerhouse of the Vision, stunned the former undisputed WWE champion by dominating long stretches of the bout. But every time Reigns tried to build momentum, Reed shut him down, cutting off his offense with brute strength and surprising agility. The most memorable spot came when Reigns charged for a spear only to be caught mid-air and driven into the mat with a thunderous sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Reigns, clearly in survival mode, pushed through the pain in the final minutes. Summoning a last burst of energy, he delivered a middle rope Samoan drop before finally landing a spear to secure a hard-fought victory. The aftermath was just as chaotic. Reigns sought revenge on Paul Heyman, locking in the guillotine until the special counsel was left unconscious. Retrieving the sneakers Reed had stolen from him, Reigns was preparing to sign them for fans when Braun Breaker blindsided him with a devastating spear through the announce table. Breaker wasn't done. Sprinting up the ramp, he speared Reigns for a second time into the floor, sending a clear message that the next generation has no fear of the tribal chief. Reed piled on with a brutal tsunami splash to regain some heat after the loss. A second tsunami, this time delivered with Reigns strapped to a backboard, all but confirmed that Reigns would be written off television for the time being. Jey Uso's attempt to intervene failed as he too was left lying. Even in defeat, Bronson Reed looked dominant. He was presented as Reigns' equal and often his superior, proving he belongs in the ring with one of WWE's biggest stars. Breaker's spear through the table created an unforgettable moment, officially positioning him as Reigns' next obstacle on the road towards Seth Rollins and the World Heavyweight Championship. That road is where another question emerged: where was Seth Rollins during the chaos? The answer, according to reports, is that WWE deliberately kept Rollins away from the post-match angle. The company wanted the spotlight fully on Bron Breaker's rise, without Rollins overshadowing the attack. Later in the show, Jackie Redmond caught up with Rollins backstage, where it was revealed that Paul Heyman had been hospitalized following Reigns' earlier assault. This led to speculation that Heyman may also be written off television, but PW Insider has confirmed the injury is strictly storyline and not legitimate. WWE is clearly investing in both men as major players. What did you think of WWE's booking of Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker in Paris? And when Roman Reigns eventually returns, should he actually take a loss to Breakker to cement the young star's rise? Sound off in the comments below. Just 48 hours after defeating Carmelo Hayes and The Miz to earn a WWE Tag Team Championship opportunity, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, stepped into the ring against the Wyatt Six's Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis in the night's second match. The Paris crowd created one of the evening's most unforgettable atmospheres. Fans sang the Wyatt Six haunting theme, even blending in Bray Wyatt's music, which sent chills throughout the arena before the bell had even rung. The Profits entered in Borderlands-inspired gear, a creative touch that tied directly into a commercial for the new Borderlands game shown immediately after their bout. Inside the ring, the action was competitive, with neither team able to maintain control for long. Momentum swung back and forth, keeping the pace unpredictable. Late in the contest, Lumis neutralized Dawkins at ringside, but Ford responded with his trademark senton, crashing down on both to spark a comeback. Just as it looked like the challengers might steal the match, Nikki Cross grabbed Ford's foot from outside. The distraction allowed Uncle Howdy to strike, planting Ford with Sister Abigail on the arena floor. With Ford incapacitated, Gacy and Lumis capitalized, delivering the Plague, a suplex and powerbomb combination, for the decisive victory as the champions retained. The match itself was solid and showcased the depth of SmackDown's tag division, but it didn't reach the same energy as the red-hot opener and chaotic post-match angle that came before it. Despite the effort from both sides, the crowd's engagement dipped slightly here, though Nikki's interference stood out as one of the night's most memorable spots. The real intrigue came after the match as speculation swirled around the Street Profits' future. While they did not break up tonight, tension was clearly present. Earlier in the day, the Wyatt Six fueled that narrative by releasing a 3-minute promo on Twitter teasing cracks in the Profits' brotherhood. Some questioned whether Ford and Dawkins were simply playing mind games to lull the champions into a false sense of security, but that wasn't the case. Instead, the Wyatt Six's influence added another layer to the story, hinting at deeper fractures within the Profits' partnership. Reports now suggest WWE may steer into a Wyatt Six versus MFT feud on SmackDown in the weeks ahead. Now for Ford and Dawkins, the looming question remains, was this just a bump in the road, or the first step towards a slow, inevitable split? Should WWE actually pull the trigger on a Street Profits breakup, or is it better to keep them together as one of the last true brotherhoods in tag team wrestling? Weeks of verbal jabs and cheap shots finally came to a head in Paris as Becky Lynch defended her Women's Intercontinental Championship against WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella. The match itself, however, struggled to click. The chemistry between the two was off from the start, leading to several awkward moments. One sequence saw Nikki slam Becky's head against the announce table, but her execution looked off, as if she was simply pushing Lynch's head forward with her hands, leaving the spot sloppy and unconvincing. The two worked through a series of counters and reversals until Bella landed a Bella Buster on the steel steps. The impact looked brutal, but it still wasn't enough to keep Lynch down. Moments later, the champion recovered, caught Nikki with a backslide, and secured the pin to retain her title. For Nikki Bella, the performance highlighted how much in-ring rust she still carries. She didn't resemble a seasoned Hall of Famer, but rather a star who hasn't wrestled in a long time, thrown into a high-profile title match before regaining her timing. The effort was there, but the execution felt clunky and uneven, dragging the overall quality of the contest down. Beyond the ring, the crowd reaction told an even bigger story. In the lead up to the event, Lynch had done everything a heel champion is expected to do, taking shots at Nikki Bella's personal life, even referencing Ozzy Osbourne in a promo that left WWE embarrassed. Yet when she walked into Clash in Paris, she was greeted with cheers. Throughout the match and even when she won, the French fans remained firmly behind her. Part of the issue came down to WWE's booking. While Lynch played her heel role to perfection, Nikki Bella was never truly established as a sympathetic babyface. In their promos on Raw, Becky consistently outshined her, delivering sharper lines and carrying the segments with more personality. Their interactions never went much further than that, leaving fans without a reason to rally behind Bella as a legitimate threat. As a result, the story backfired. Instead of fans booing the heel, they chose to support her over the returning veteran. With that win, Lynch has now defended her title 6 times in just 85 days since defeating Lyra Valkyria at Money in the Bank. With Nikki Bella now out of the picture and Valkyria still unable to challenge for the championship, the path forward is wide open. So the real question now is, does Becky's next defense come against a fresh challenger, or are we about to see AJ Lee step back into the spotlight? Sound off in the comments below. Sheamus and Rusev tore the house down in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match, perfectly positioned on the card before the two marquee main events. From the opening bell, the fight leaned heavily into its stipulation, delivering brutal spots that kept the crowd fully invested. Sheamus was sent crashing through the bar at one point, and later answered back by driving Rusev off the whiskey barrels through 2 tables. The near falls were timed to perfection, with fans holding their breath as Rusev even kicked out of a brogue kick, something rarely seen in WWE. The finish was both decisive and shocking. Rusev cinched in the accolade, ripping at Sheamus with a shillelagh wedged in his mouth, leaving no escape. For only the second time in WWE history, Sheamus was forced to submit, a moment that Michael Cole emphasized on commentary to underline its significance. After the victory, chants of Rusev Day rang out across the arena, but instead of embracing them, Rusev covered his ears, signaling a rejection of the old gimmick in favor of being taken more seriously. That gesture alone has already sparked speculation that WWE may be planting seeds for a storyline that could eventually bring back Rusev Day in a new light. Once again, Sheamus and Rusev proved they are incapable of delivering anything less than a war. Their blend of stiff strikes, plunder-fueled brawling, and dramatic storytelling produced a standout match that elevated both men. More than anything, it showcased the sheer intensity of Rusev while reminding fans why Sheamus continues to be one of the most underappreciated stars of this era. He has a rare ability to drag the audience into the fight and make every moment feel earned, something that may only be fully recognized when his career is looked back on years from now. Logan Paul and John Cena's highly anticipated Clash in Paris delivered one of the night's standout matches, with the social media star setting the tone right from the opening bell. Paul controlled much of the early action, cutting Cena off at every turn and relishing in the wave of boos from the Paris crowd. He looked to be en route to a shocking victory until Cena battled back, firing up for his signature sequence. Before Cena could finish, Paul slipped free and surprised everyone with a zigzag, earning a near fall. He followed up with a buckshot lariat attempt, but Cena countered in mid-motion and dropped him with a flatliner, a move reminiscent of the late Chris Kanyon. Commentary picked up on the homages throughout the contest. Michael Cole even gave a shout out to Cesaro after an uppercut from Paul, and later to Dolph Ziggler after another zigzag. Cena wasn't shy about his own tributes either. He connected with an Angel's Wings, a move tied to his UPW peer Christopher Daniels, which busted Paul's nose but failed to put him away. Paul answered back by mocking Cena's own offense, hitting his trademark moveset before getting caught with an attitude adjustment for a close 2 count. The intensity only ramped up. Paul delivered 2 frog splashes to no avail, while Cena stunned fans by breaking out a Styles Clash in a clear nod to longtime rival AJ Styles. In the closing stretch, Paul launched himself with a crossbody, but Cena rolled through into an attitude adjustment. He went for a second, but Paul wriggled free and landed a thunderous right hand. Cena rebounded off the ropes, hit another finisher, and finally secured the pinfall victory. After the match, Cena celebrated at ringside with the young fan from Brussels, creating a heartfelt closing image. The story told here was vastly different from Paul's usual fare. There was no outside interference, no cheap tactics. Instead, he wrestled, proving he could hang it in the ring with the industry's biggest name of the last 2 decades. The match stood out for its pure wrestling quality. The Paris crowd was electric, Cena worked at an elevated pace, and Paul delivered one of his strongest in-ring performances in months. For fans, it also carried an extra layer of nostalgia, with Cena paying homage to names like Kanyon, Daniels, and Styles, wrestlers who, in different ways, left marks on his career. Still, those who were holding out hope for a Brock Lesnar appearance were left disappointed, but make no mistake, this was one of the best matches of the night, living up to the hype in every way. What did you think of Cena versus Logan Paul in Paris? Did Paul prove he belongs at this level? Or was this more about Cena stealing the spotlight once again? That wraps up Clash in Paris, a night filled with drama, surprises, and controversy. What did you think of the show overall? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. WWE superstars being in Paris, France is a rarity, which was shown by the loud crowd at Clash in Paris. However, that passion was taken too far at points over the weekend when wrestlers were in their own personal space. Sheamus was someone who experienced that as he was caught up in a brutal mob of WWE fans who were overly excited to see him. A video emerged of WWE fans showcasing no knowledge of personal boundaries as they crowded Sheamus when he was out in public, to the point where the multi-time world champion had to calm them down. The crowd became so intense that one woman was almost crushed, with Sheamus having to get involved to stop them as he then took a photo with her to try and make the best of the situation. Sheamus wasn't the only wrestler who was mobbed by fans over the weekend though, as several WWE stars dealt with issues to the point that many wrestlers ended up having to be given personal security as they walked around. One of the worst examples of a wrestler being mobbed was Rhea Ripley, with the situation being so bad that her husband Buddy Matthews shared a personal message online telling people to respect boundaries, as he claimed it was absolutely disgusting. It's a reminder that WWE superstars are just humans as well, and fans need to treat them as that whenever they see them out in public. The passion of the French WWE fans was clear though, which is how the company ended up beating a huge Taylor Swift record from her Historic Eras tour. Despite Swift performing 4 nights in France, WWE broke the record for the highest gate in that venue, making more money from one night of sales than she did after drawing over 180,000 fans, which says a lot about WWE's pricing. Speaking of major singers, 2 of the biggest names in the world of music were sat at ringside for Clash in Paris, as Jelly Roll and Post Malone were shown enjoying the event as WWE's reach continues to grow. We're ending with one of the biggest elements of Clash in Paris, which was seeing John Cena for the last time in the country, and fans got to enjoy him as a babyface, and he revealed that's down to the fans. It got to a point that Cena versus Randy, you start hearing this. Cena versus Punk and Saudi, you start hearing the noise. Cena versus Cody at SummerSlam, it changes. Sometimes you can make bold and brave new moves, but going against this body of energy is a losing battle. So sometimes you gotta listen, pivot, and change course. His next appearance is set for the September 5th edition of SmackDown, while he will wrestle again at WrestlePalooza, with only 8 dates remaining for his in-ring career. With limited dates left for Cena in WWE, who do you think he should face next? Let us know in the comments.